Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screams. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Back at it again. It's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC, and the place to be, Ric Serritella. Telling it like it is here for your Philadelphia Eagles, National Football League, college football landscape, and the entire football universe, broadcasting around the globe, wherever you may be tuned in. Thank you for joining us here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. It's all brought to you by Ocean Casino Resorts. Hey, get it in early. Smash that like button. Help your boy out in the algorithm because we're going to buckle up for a double chin strap affair. What up, Antonio, SMD, all my chat room people? Where you at in the front and the back? Oh, baby. Howie strikes again. Your NFL Executive of the Year, Howie Roseman, making a deal for your Robert Quinn in exchange for a fourth-round pick. Big-time news here. Big-time news here to add really an all-pro caliber type of player, 18 and a half sacks a year ago, just one sack in 2022 this year, a lot of that being a byproduct of double-team coverage. So here you are, a guy who basically led the league in sacks, a three-time Pro Bowl selection, veteran pickup. Oh, by the way, it's not going to cost the Philadelphia Eagles anything except for a fourth-round pick and 700 Gs. Wow. Howie Roseman just made the biggest deal of the trade deadline. I don't care what else goes down from here on out. He got the biggest name that's going to be dealt. He got the most impact player that was available on the open market. Antonio with the line, how'd he do that? It's howdy doody time. It's howdy doody time. That's what time it is. Howie Roseman. Are you kidding me? He somehow convinced the Bears to pick up $7.1 million of that contract this year. So in essence, the Eagles will sacrifice a fourth-round pick, a day 3 selection, acquire a guy who's coming off a 20-sack season, and they're just going to have to be on the hook for $700,000. You inject him opposite of Hassan Reddick in the mix with Josh Sweat, along with Brandon Graham. This is an upgrade from Derek Barnett, who went out for the season at the beginning of the year. The Eagles just got themselves a massive addition that has crowned them arguably the best defense in the league now. Hey, Dallas Cowboys went out and got Jonathan Hankins. Hey, I'll see you, your Jonathan Hankins, and raise you a Robert Quinn. Wow. Just a monumental, what a deal. Howie Roseman is orchestrating a top-notch symphony as we listen to him strum the harp for all the wannabe contenders in the NFC. Whose defense is better than this now? You know, Dallas might have a better pass rush. Maybe. Not anymore. Tell you what, Eagles are right up there, man. This rotation is elite, Dev. Absolutely right. You've got to account for Hassan Reddick. Otherwise, Robert Quinn's going to shake loose, get loose, And if you don't account for Robert Quinn, then Josh Sweat's going to be in the rotation. And oh, by the way, man, like Jordan Davis, when he's in the game, he commands double team coverage. Fletcher Cox, what do you want to do there? I mean, I want to see Jordan Davis now in these four-man fronts. Show me Jordan Davis next to Fletcher Cox, next to Hassan Reddick, next to Robert Quinn. Oh, my God. The Eagles' defense is a problem. Sean S. says, so does Robert Quinn not get a bye week? It's okay because he's in a rotation. His bye week will be this week. I don't anticipate he'll play a whole heck of a lot of downs. Maybe some third down pass rush situations. See quarterback, chase quarterback, get quarterback. This is Robert Quinn's bye week. Yeah, he'll play. They'll put him in some pass rushing situations, but I imagine he probably just touched ground on Philadelphia's soil. I'm sure Gannon sent him the playbook for the plane ride. You know, tomorrow's a walkthrough essentially. So, you know, they can use him in some third down pass rush situations where, again, get in there, Robert. If they double team you, great. Mission accomplished. If they don't, if they double team Reddick, hey, you're going to have some one-on-one matchups with a terrible, terrible Steelers defensive line. Yo, I got people from New Zealand checking in. What up? Dude, I'm so fired up today because not only did the Eagles just take a step closer to a Super Bowl championship, I've been on scouting call since 8 a.m., 2 hours in. I had to depart my NFLPA Collegiate Bowl brethren. Man, on a side note, some of the names being talked about in this year's draft who are going to get Senior Bowl invites and be amongst the top of the draft board are going to blow your mind. Woo! Wow. So we got a lot to get into. Robert Quinn being the headliner. Ric Serritella had his press conference yesterday. Jalen Hurts met with the media. I've got an update on Lane Johnson. Tyree Jackson's practice window is opened. And we got some news and notes from around the league. At 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, our good friend Eric Edholm from NFL.com is going to chime in with his national perspective of Robert Quinn, some other names that could be moved. 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we'll have Alex Kozar from Steelers Depot, another one of my draftnik brethren, but really probably the largest Steelers website in terms of coverage, period, that I can find out there. Steelers Depot has been doing it for quite some time, and Alex Kozera will check in there. But, man, back to this rotation with Reddick and Sweat and Graham and Quinn with the interior of Cox and Davis and Hargrave, Maron, Mamiya. This is, to me, the best defensive line in football. And to me, while the cornerback depth is not great, and I thought McPherson did adequate, in terms of 1 and 2, and you can argue 1, 2, and 3 when Maddox is healthy, but Bradbury and Slay are the top 1-2 cornerback tandem in the league. So you got the top cornerback duo, you got the top defensive line unit, you got just grinders in the middle, lunch bucket kind of guys, TJ Edwards and Kaiser White. I guess now safety becomes the weakness of this defense. And, you know, if they got to go the rest of the way with Epps and Gardner, it's okay. It's okay. Now, Howie's not done yet. Howie's not done. He is all in. Didn't I tell you guys this is the greatest opportunity to win? The window is now. You've got Jalen Hurts on a rookie deal making about $2 million. The opportunity to win a chip will not be as great as you can't dream up a better scenario than being undefeated, a quarterback on his rookie deal. You just acquired Robert Quinn after an offseason that saw you acquire Hassan Reddick and James Bradbury. You traded for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You added A.J. Brown. You meshed all these pieces together. You've got a top 5 offense, a top 5 defense. Now is the time to pounce. And oh, by the way, you know who Howie's talking to now? You know who he's in negotiations with? The little birdie told me. Howie Roseman is now attempting to acquire Alvin Kamara from the New Orleans Saints. Think about that. Think about that. Woo! If you get Alvin Kamara, baby, watch out, because the Eagles are going to soar to the top of my power rankings. And I'll tell you what, I had the Bills, the Chiefs, and then the Eagles. I think Quinn really puts them in the same conversation of those two teams. And you get Alvin Kamara, I think the Eagles are clearly the best team in the National Football League. The chat room's loving it. I love all my chat room people. Sean S., William Stark, Richard Rosanio, all my paisanos, Dev, Sean, Antonio, Sully Music, Espo, I know it hurts. You mentioned Kamara. Well, hey, Howie Roseman's trying to make it a reality for the Philadelphia fans. Why not? Why not? And I told you, don't sit tight. Don't get cute and fancy and say, hey, you know, the chemistry's so good. We don't need to mess with that. Baloney. Baloney. You're telling me Robert Quinn and Alvin Kamara don't just, take you to the next stratosphere? I feel real good about it. I feel real good about it. There is not going to be a suspension coming for Alvin Kamara this year. That window that has come and gone. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. And I don't think Howie Roseman is worried about what next year brings right now. He's worried about this year. And he's saying, yo, Miles Sanders, I can roll with that. But, yo, let me hit him with an upgrade. Let me hit him with an upgrade. Oh, my God, Alvin Kamara. Could you imagine Kamara in this offense? The receiving threat. He's a better player than CMC, in my opinion. So, okay, San Francisco, you want to add Christian McCaffrey. Okay, Jonathan Hankins, we see you there in Dallas. Hey, Robert Quinn, welcome to Philly. Alvin Kamara, stand by. I don't know, MJ, what the compensation for Kamara would be, but I'll tell you this. I don't believe in drafting running backs in the first round. I don't believe in trading first-round picks in exchange for a running back. But if it's a deal breaker, and I got to give up the Eagles' first-round pick in exchange for Alvin Kamara, knowing that opportunities like this come around once in a lifetime, sign me up. It's the exception to the rule. Count me in. Very rarely will I say that. Very rarely will I say, hey, let's use a first-round pick on a running back, but Kamara is a pretty known commodity. I know what I'm getting, and I know that's a luxury piece to inject into an offense that puts you over the top. The Eagles can win with this team right here, right now. Kamara, I think, takes them to another level. As Emerald Lagasse would say, kick it up a notch. Bam! Let me add a little bam! And a little bit of bam! And oh, by the way, while we're at it in the kitchen, I'll add one more little bam! Bro, you add Alvin Kamara, it's going to look like Bam Bam Bigelow in here. Whew! I got so caught up in the scouting calls, I forgot how much fun we're going to have today. It's the Football Playbook with your boy, RIC, in the place to be. Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, everything football, the National Football League. Hey, Robert Quinn, has he touched down? Did anybody? I'm sure there's some pictures out there, him landing in the Philadelphia airport when he does arrive. Can't wait. Can't wait. Oh, my God. Guys, what a great day. By the way, you want to know what kind of leader, what kind of veteran you're getting in Robert Quinn? And I would love the addition of Jabril Peppers, Dev. I'm a big fan. I think he would be an excellent addition, and he can also return punts. Man, I'm a little bit frazzled here, man. I'm so excited. So Roquan Smith found out about the trade as he was doing a press conference, and the guy, like, pretty much broke down and started crying. Like, he was so upset to see Robert Quinn go that Roquan Smith started breaking down and crying, like, as he was talking to the media, because Robert Quinn means so much to the Bears. Oh, by the way, you just took the biggest stud in Chicago and placed him in Philly as a role player, baby. Woo! How you like that? You like that? I like it. So here we go. And speaking of safeties, Eddie Jackson from Chicago is apparently on the trade block. What? Yo, a 4th-round pick for Robert Quinn. I got a bag of Doritos in the back seat. Oh, my God. Yo, can we get some Eddie Jackson, Chicago, since you're quitters? And here's a team still in the hunt. They just beat up on New England, and they're giving up. They're giving up. They're quitters. They're quitters in Chicago. Oh, man. I feel a lot better today, Adams exploits, now that we got Robert Quinn in tow. And I'm having visions of another parade come February, right around my birthday, too. It'll be perfect timing, February 10th. Let's plan the parade now. I'm ready. It's been 5 years. I'm not even an Eagles fan, but I had the best time of my life. That's the biggest, the baddest, the best party on the planet I ever been to. Downtown Philly, hanging on the statues. Cops drinking beer and smoking weed in the streets with the fans. Unbelievable. What a scene. We might get it again. Oh, man. That's the cure I needed. That's the dose of medicine that Oceana and myself were looking for, the dose of the realest of the real. Oh, my God, guys. What a day. By the way, Robert Quinn is on his way to Philly. Alvin Kamara could be next. Lane Johnson, finally, we got an update there yesterday. Coach Sirianni met with the media, said Lane is still in the concussion protocol, which is to be expected. But Reuben Frank reporting that by the end of practice late Wednesday, Lane Johnson was out on the field, going through some motions, getting some practice reps in. So Reuben Frank saying he is in the final stages of the concussion protocol, which means what? It means he will need to see an independent neurologist as the final step to be cleared between now and Sunday, which it looks like, if I had to guess, it's looking like he's going to play. When asked about it further, Sirianni just said, hey, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully everybody will play. So he's hopeful. Hopeful that everybody will play. He did give a shout out to some of the lower tier coaches. Of course, they did their self-evaluations that we've heard so much about during the bye week. Gave a lot of kudos to guys like Alex Tanney, the analytics department. Lot of hours, a lot of man hours. He kept that going. And he said, we've got the best analytics department, whatever that means. On the trade deadline, right? They asked, hey, are you having these conversations with Howie? And he says, that's the great part about working with this organization is we talk about everything. So whether it's Robert Quinn, Alvin Kamara, Eddie Jackson, Jabril Peppers, whoever, they're huddled up. They talk about it. They break bread. You know, maybe Sirianni brings a little nice bottle of vino for the conversation, you know. Woo. SMD Eagles, it's not about the severity of the concussion. It's the fact that it was Lane Johnson's 3rd concussion in 5 years, plus the new protocol implemented that the NFL and NFLPA tweaked 2 weeks ago. There's a 5-step process in order to get back onto the field. But considering it was his third concussion, they've got to be extra careful. That's the severity of it. It's not necessarily this single concussion. It's the accumulation of concussions. And don't forget, I'm not trying to combine the two. Lane Johnson missed some time with some mental issues. So you got to make sure, as an older player, as a veteran guy, as somebody who Eddie Kratz sat here and told us was contemplating retirement coming into the season, how is his head doing, both physically, mentally? Where you at, Lane? And he said, look, in terms of new players coming into the locker room, like Robert Quinn and maybe Alvin Kamara are about to do, he said the cultures, the leaders, all they do in this locker room is embrace the new players. And he used examples like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who was acquired midseason, James Bradbury, who was acquired like the final week right before training camp, and all these players that have come in and just fit in seamlessly. He was also asked about Kenny Pickett coming out of college. What was your scouting report, Coach? Said, I was a big Kenny Pickett fan. Praised his accuracy, his quick decision-making, his underrated ability with his legs to move the chains. Intelligence is off the charts. He's got a lot of tools, that Kenny Pickett, according to Coach Ric Serritella. Also, I thought it was interesting. He did allude to like the fact that Jalen Hurts is essentially considered one of the coaches. He's like, yeah, he's a coach. He's a coach on the field. And he did receive the notes of all the coaches and the feedback. I'll get into Jalen Hurts' press conference later on in the show. But Hurts and Gannon huddled up and had conversations. And Hurts talked about how much he enjoyed that because he got to pick Jonathan Gannon's brain about like, yo, if you were game planning for me, how would you try to attack me or stop me? And so they had some interesting conversations there. Again, Eric Edholm in about 10 minutes. But before we do, I mean, we can't just sit here and have the Eagles make a monumental move and not get the pulse of the people, the people's champ, Tone DeShields II, the producer behind the scenes that makes all the magic happen. I gotta see. I've been on scouting calls all morning long. I gotta see. I haven't been able to tune into the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Tone, give me the finger on the pulse. How you feel? You got a temperature? You got the fever? Did my fever go over to the Tone DeShields side of the screen?
Listen, man, I'm telling you right now, the kitchen is hot. The kitchen is hot. We cooking with fish grease, y'all. Get excited. Get excited. Look, man, let's really put this thing into perspective. You bring in a 32-year-old pass rusher who is a proven commodity. Now, he's having a down moment in the season, 1 sack through 6 games. That's the reality. It is what it is. But last season, he had 18.5 sacks through 17 games. There's no way that drop-off is real. That drop-off doesn't make sense to me. Something was going on. Now, the word is there was a changing of the guard when it came to the defensive coordinator in Chicago. So apparently he fell out of favor and he was getting double teamed every play, and that defensive line didn't really have too many guys to help him out. So he was essentially just running up against a brick wall every single day. And you're 32 years old playing damn near 70% of the snaps. That can't work. So now he enters a situation where he's probably going to go from playing 70% of the snaps to about 45% of the snaps. Yep. You mix in with Brandon Graham. You mix in with Josh Sweat. You mix in with Hassan Reddick. Oh. You still got the young guy Patrick Johnson over there that you could probably sprinkle in every now and again if things get a little too hot.
If you have to. If you have
to. You dig what I'm saying? You got Jordan Davis. You got Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Milton Williams. Step your weight up a little bit and you'll get on the bus. But other than that, man, your Philadelphia Eagles came to play. And this is the kind of move that tells you where they see Jalen Hurts as the quarterback. This is the kind of move that lets you know how far they believe they can go. This is the kind of move that clearly indicates to me it's Super Bowl or bust with these guys. Pay attention to what they did with CMC in San Francisco. Pay attention to what the Dallas Cowboys did with Jonathan Hankins. Both those moves, in my opinion, are in response to the 6-0 Eagles. They got to keep up, and we got to keep pace. That's just how I see it, Rick.
One more could be on the horizon. How do you feel about the possibility of injecting an Alvin Kamara into this offensive attack?
It's so funny. Dan Cilio was talking about this not too long ago, I believe earlier this week. And, I think this is the kind of deal they should make. Call me crazy, but this is what I suggested. You trade the 32nd overall pick. Remind you, you still have a potential top 5 overall pick from the Saints. Yep. So you say to them, you know what? I'll throw you a bone, New Orleans. I'll give you our 32nd overall pick. I'll let you have that. You give us Alvin Kamara, straight up. And then in the draft, you can flip that top 5 overall pick, trade back a few picks, and then you could flip that into 2 first-round picks again.
Or you might get Will Anderson.
However you want to play it. If your guy isn't there in the top 5 or top 6, you could probably trade back because quarterbacks are going to be a hot commodity in this draft. You could trade back to a desperate team. You could turn that top 5 overall pick into 2 first-round picks, maybe 2 mid-rounds. Or 1 mid-round for that current season, and then another first-rounder for the following season. Now you got 2 first-rounders for the 2024 draft. So you can play around with it.
Let me throw this scenario, though. CMC went for a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th this year and a 5th next year. How about we just give the same exact compensation package? You cool with that?
Now, here's the thing. The Eagles only have 6 draft picks this year. They don't have I believe they don't have a 5th, 6th. I think they have a first.
Well, between this year's draft and next year's draft, we can give the equal kind of compensation: 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th.
Okay, I get what you mean.
Rather do that one?
Hey, listen. Regardless of how it goes down, I don't get paid. I don't get paid to make it work, Rick. All I know is, hey, make it work. But listen, I'm super excited because we have our guy.
We're just here to celebrate, baby.
At home. We have our guy Eric at home behind the scenes, about to come in and lay it out on the line for us. He's about to break it all down. He's our NFL guy. He covers the league, from top to bottom, left to right, east to west, north to south. Whatever you need, Eric at home is going to come in and break it down for you guys. I'm really excited to hear his perspective. Rick, take us into that break, man.
All right, let's do it. Let's pay some bills. When we come back, my guy Eric Edholm from NFL.com is going to give us his reaction on the Robert Quinn trade, the NFL trade deadline, your Philadelphia Eagles, and everything football right after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an Audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
All right, let's go 200 Jet X slug off. Over the last 17 years, we've built a reputation of growing award-winning teams across the country. Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
We're blowing up on the football playbook with your boy RIC and the place to be. Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to the National Football League. Your undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, everything football. And we got some big news to discuss and chop up and break down here on the Playbook Show, brought to you by Ocean Casino Resorts. Let's pop up our good friend Easy E does it, Eric Edholm from NFL.com. Always covering the National Football League, the NFL draft, and everything football. That's why we bring him in here on the Football Playbook. And Eric, it's been a while. We haven't spoken to you since the preseason, I believe. So buckle up. Welcome back. We always appreciate the time. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Yeah, the way Tone was talking me up, I thought I was getting like a daily seat in the chair here. I thought I was jumping on every day here. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're getting you fitted for the JAKIB Sports yellow jacket. That's all.
All right. Yeah, XXL, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Howie Roseman is making some extra large Big Willie moves.
Yeah.
What a splash with Robert Quinn. I mean, here's a guy, 18 and a half sacks a year ago. Granted, the production was down this year. Chicago kind of trying to find themselves, and he was facing a lot of double teams. But when you inject him into a defense with Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. Oh, by the way, on the interior, you have Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Javon Hargrave. I can't find. I know Dallas's defensive line is pretty good. But this just took it to a whole nother level, didn't it?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, Robert Quinn was exceptional for a bad Bears defense last year. In fact, I think, nationally, people didn't even realize just how many times he was sacking the quarterback because of how poorly the Bears were playing. The story was about Fields. It was about Matt Nagy. It was about other people. So, by the end of the year, I think a lot of people noticed, hey, man, after really a disappointing first year in Chicago after he signed that big deal, he came back and played lights out last year at an incredible level. It's not shocking that he got traded, of course, but the return, a fourth-round pick, pretty nice. As you mentioned, the depth they have and, the fact that they don't count on him to come in and play 60 snaps right away and get a sack or a sack and a half every week. They have those guys. And so, maybe the Teron Johnsons of the world take a little bit of a back seat. Robert Quinn steps in. And if you watched the game the other night against the Patriots, he was highly active. He played a really good game. So anybody worried about sack totals or, he's a forced fumble master. If you look back at his career, he's forced a ton of them. This dude's a monster. And one more thing, Rick, I can tell you just being here locally and knowing, kind of the scene of what's going on up at Hallis Hall, this hit the Bears locker room really hard. He was one of the most beloved, respected players in that locker room. And you probably heard Roquan Smith yesterday.
Saw that, yeah.
They love the guy. And I think that alone, even if he's, not a 6 or 8 sack guy down the stretch, adds something to this Eagles team.
Yeah, the fascinating thing to me, Eric, is not the fact that they only had to give up a 4th-round pick for compensation, but they actually somehow managed the Bears to pick up $7.1 million of the tab.
Yeah.
Like they're only on the hook for $700,000 this year.
Yep.
And I wonder, and I saw a quote from Ryan Poles that said, "Hey, the move just made too much sense not to do it." Now, I don't know. Ryan Poles, relatively young guy, maybe the youngest GM in the league. Did Howie Roseman just fleece this guy? I mean, what went on?
Yeah, the money is the part that was eyebrow raising. I didn't, when I heard about the deal and was texting with a guy before, the financial element was known or was released. I mean, I thought, okay, yeah, 4th-round pick, that's about right. Maybe you could have squeezed a 3rd out of a good team like that or something like that. Okay, fine. I kind of talked myself into it, but then when I heard that financial element of it, you say to yourself, okay, it's not just money, right? It obviously has an impact on the rest of your football team too. So a little bit surprising there. I think Chicago has another move or two in them. I don't know if that includes Roquan Smith. I don't know if, who the players involved might be, but I do know that talking to some other people, not named Ryan Poles, have said that, Chicago is very much answering the phone. So, we'll see what they do at the end of the trading period and then judge it. But I'm with you. I think that was a little bit surprising.
Yeah, Eddie Jackson, the safety, David Montgomery, the running back, maybe two other targets that could be on the move in Chicago. But let me ask you, since you are in Chicago, aren't you?
That's right.
So,
yep.
Let me ask you this then. What direction is this team headed in? Because I saw here before the Quinn deal, my understanding was they were $116 million under the cap, the most in the league. Now, Quinn, that frees up another 8.5 of debt of money next year, I think. So they're probably about $125 million under the cap. The cap's going to go up another 20 or 25 million next year.
Yeah.
The Bears are going to have like 150 million to spend. I've heard conflicting reports whether or not they want to move forward with Justin Fields, but is this going to be blow it all up again, or are they going to build it around Justin Fields? Are they going to build through the draft, or are they going to spend all this money in free agency? It seems like Chicago just doesn't have any kind of identity. They just beat the Patriots. They got the same record as the Packers. Yeah. Everybody in the NFC is 500. They could still make the playoffs, and here they are just giving people away.
Yeah, it's obviously it looks a little bad after their most impressive victory of the season Monday night, to be in sell mode. But I think Bears fans understand there is a cap to what this team can achieve. And then that they're not going to run for 240 yards every single game and create those turnovers on defense and have that kind of performance week in and week out. We've seen enough prior to this point to know that they're capable of blowing leads, of getting stuck in the mud offensively. Early in games, getting Fields in rhythm has been an issue at times. He's had some second halves and he's had some periods later in games where you see him, settling in a little bit. Kind of reminded me a little bit of what we saw out of Hurts, his first and part of his second year too, where you had to help him along a little, right? So I think the Bears view it probably similarly to what the Eagles did with Hurts, in the sense that they're going to give him another year. I would be shocked unless an unusual opportunity crosses their path, something they can't turn down, to use Ryan Poles' language. I think they're going with Fields. I think they're going to try to rebuild that offensive line, which has been an issue at times, and then replace some of the parts on defense with younger bodies.
Talking to Eric Edholm, who's there in Chicago. I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, but I know you're ready for it. I'm going to put you on the spot because, a lot of people think CJ Stroud arguably is the number one quarterback prospect. And, I was a pretty big supporter of Justin Fields coming out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
There. I like what I've seen. I mean, there's been some ugliness, but I also feel like he's constantly running around for his life.
Right.
But if you were, to kind of fast forward to CJ Stroud and go back and rewind to Justin Fields, I'll go first. I view Justin Fields as the higher rated prospect coming out of college. Where do you see the two Ohio State signal callers coming out as a prospect?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's really interesting. Obviously, Stroud is not the runner, creator, elusive kind of player that Justin Fields is, but he's got a calmness and sort of a command back there in the pocket, I think, that is ahead of where Fields might have been. Fields' anticipation was, I think, one of the issues, coming out. It was a tick slow or a half tick slow, and it just seemed like he needed to see color flash before he made decisions and stuff. The anticipation stuff was a little lacking at times. So, I think that's a good question. There are times when Stroud looks absolutely tremendous, and then there are times when I'm underwhelmed, and he's a little bit of hot and cold too. By the end of the game, obviously, with those receivers, that system, Ryan Day, everything they do there, it's almost impossible not to have a good statistical game. But when you do drill down on him, there are some questions about, how much he'll be a lightning quick processor at the next level. I think he's good. I think he realizes, there's probably some room for growth in that area. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't quite made up my mind on that one yet, but I think I'm leaning toward your opinion on that.
Yeah, it's something to think about. A lot of people think Stroud is the best quarterback for whatever it's worth. I like Bryce Young, but then
Me
I'm
too.
concerned about the durability and the height.
Yeah.
And, Hendon Hooker and Will Levis are going at it this week. Another good looking
Yes.
matchup. But we'll save those conversations for January. Right now, we're still in the midst of an undefeated Eagles season. So let me ask you about some other potential names who could be on the move. There is talk now that Howie Roseman has turned his attention to Alvin Kamara.
Wow.
I mean, and we know he has a pending legal issue kind of hanging over his head. I don't think anything is going to happen in terms of ramifications this season.
I agree.
But is this the next big domino to fall, and what kind of impact would that have?
Yeah, and Alvin Kamara fan club here. I loved him coming out. I've loved him in the NFL for a long time. He was extremely durable. I know that, has changed a little bit the last couple of years, but his elusiveness, his gear changing ability, his ability to catch the football, play in a number of different spots, I think is really important. Is it a little bit of a luxury? Perhaps. I understand there's some frustration with how the Eagles use their backs sometimes, but Miles, I think, has been pretty darn good this year. But adding one more option, if you say that, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert are their three, most trusted pass catchers, and obviously the three busiest guys too, I believe, with Sanders being, I think, a distant fourth in my mind. You can make the argument that adding one extra receiving threat to the building and preserving his, not having to use him as much as the Saints sometimes do when he's healthy, when he's out there, that's really attractive right there. He also, he expressed his frustration after the loss last week and kind of gave an emotional locker room speech that some people interpreted as not necessarily a goodbye, but kind of a, I'm sort of fed up here. Like, let's go. We don't have Drew Brees. We don't have Sean Payton. We still got to win, right? We're not just sitting back. So who knows what happens with that? But boy, wouldn't that be something else? And just think, I mean, the Eagles have targeted their guys this year and found what they wanted through the draft and everything else. AJ Brown, if it all comes together, it would really be thrilling from a team building standpoint.
Yeah, and I think you make some valid points about Kamara there because, listen, every week we don't know. They don't even know. Is it Winston? Right. Is it Andy Dalton? Is it Taysom Hill, their quarterback? And I think now the rookie receiver's hurt. Michael Thomas, we already know, like, he only plays when he feels like it. And when the Saints aren't winning, he doesn't seem like he wants to be motivated. So I could see the writing on the wall for an Alvin Kamara. Also, talking to Eric Edholm, NFL.com, a lot of other names being mentioned. I just saw a report during the commercial break. Cam Akers is being close to being dealt. Is that a guy that has something left in the tank that can inject something into someone's offense?
Yeah, and I was a big Akers fan coming out. I really felt good about him. Now, obviously, his career has kind of gone sideways a little bit, and there's been this tension with Sean McVay, and his usage and his whole situation there has gotten a little bit sort of prickly and precarious, I'd say. But they've only hurt his trade value, I think, by airing this public laundry, if you will. And I would say, that's probably the more attainable, easier to get target of the two. I think, Kamara would cost more, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Obviously, the money is a factor too, and Kamara would cost way more. But I could see Akers being, coming for relatively cheap. And, here's a back who is a, high school quarterback, has some throwing ability, does a lot of different things. You can have fun with this guy. But it did feel like Sean McVay wasn't using him to the best of his ability. And that's absolutely a fallback option I could see playing out.
Yeah. And I just wonder though, like, to your point, they're airing out his dirty laundry. They're saying it's like more mental than it is physical.
Yeah.
And then you wonder, like, how is that going to translate in Philadelphia? Because, he fumbles the ball and suddenly there's 20 reporters hovering around his locker. I don't know if Cam Akers is the right ingredient. Alvin Kamara, I think, is the luxury piece that really puts them over the top. And I'll throw a couple other names out to you, not necessarily for the Philadelphia Eagles. There's some names being rumored. Yeah. A lot of people in the chat are liking Elijah Moore from the Jets, who's in the doghouse there. was over there at Ole Miss during the same time as A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. I don't know what your take was coming out. I wasn't a huge fan. I thought he kind of lacked some of that ability to separate Eric, but
Yes.
He's out there. I don't know if you want to give something up for an Elijah Moore when you can sign Odell Beckham Jr. off the street and not give up any compensation. I've had people giving me that argument. Hey, we've already got Quez Watkins, but whether it's the Eagles or somebody else, is Elijah Moore getting moved at this point, do you think?
Yeah, it could be, right? I mean, they sat him down after the trade request and went to Denzel Mims, who previously requested a trade. So, not the only guy there who's kind of frustrated with his role. And, it's been tough. Obviously, they haven't been able to complete a lot of passes, and we'll see, obviously, going forward without Breece Hall. That's going to be fascinating. But I could see it. I don't think Joe's going to give him away, though. I mean, it's a tough spot for them because they're clearly in it to try to win. I mean, we've heard whispers that the Giants at 6-1 with better record are maybe kind of laying low at the trade deadline. They're going to just sort of play it out. And, I understand that approach. I get it. Even if your fans certainly feel like, this is our one, we haven't been this good in a while. Let's take advantage. On the Jets side of things, obviously we saw they were already being aggressive. They lose Ali Vera Tucker. They lose Breece Hall. They go out and get James Robinson. I think Elijah Moore is an interesting enough trade piece where if you don't want to relinquish draft picks or, you feel like there's a player on the other side of the ball, let's say, that you can get, this might be the one to do. But I am worried about that offensive line in New York. I mean, if they feel like they can get OL help, maybe that's the route that they go for trading Moore.
Yeah, Andre Dillard could be had here in Philadelphia. Yeah. So, hey, we'll see what happens there. Kareem Hunt, another name being mentioned on the NFL trade deadline. And, I want to shift it up, though, because you mentioned the Giants. They're riding high. And Carl Banks made an interesting comment that just continues to resonate with me. Like, this was not just a rebuild or a renovation. This was a reconstruction of the entire organization. So even though they've got this great 6-1 record, nobody expected this. They're playing above their heads. But here we are. I mean, listen, they can go 4-6, play losing football, still win double digits.
It's crazy.
Everybody was calling them the NFC least. Dare I say you're going to see 3 teams from this division now in the playoffs? Is that a possibility? How big a possibility do you think?
I tell people this all the time. I said, today's princes are tomorrow's paupers, right? I mean, you're in the NFL, especially, especially compared to other sports, like, your strengths today as a football team are going to be your weaknesses before you know it, right? Everything changes so constantly. And yeah, I mean, other than that one loss to Dallas, was it? They lost to Dallas, at home. And boy, they're 3-0 on the road. They've won 4 straight. They've all been close. They've all been nail biters. But this has kind of built some skin up on this team. I think some tough layer on the outside that they play good situational football late in games, right? Out executing the Ravens in the fourth quarter, right? Flipping a deficit into a lead. Last week at Jacksonville, granted they had to hold on, but Daniel Jones comes down and drives them down the field. Like you said, all they have to do to win 10 games, and it doesn't appear to be a really deep NFC side of the equation, is go 4-6 down the stretch. 6-1 teams. I think the last one not to make the playoffs was the Falcons in 2015. I want to say they ended up like 8-8 or something like that. So, yeah, they're thinking of themselves as contenders. Cowboys, we know, are obviously very much in the thick of it. Eagles aren't going anywhere. So wouldn't be shocking at all. Can you imagine the NFC West being a one-bid division after we praised them up and down this offseason? And what if that team's Seattle? Right?
That's the thing. They're all hunting for the Seahawks, right? Like, it's
unbelievable.
Just unbelievable.
I wouldn't say this has been a great season so far, but it has been a weird one. No doubt about that.
It's been a season of mediocrity.
I agree.
It really has, because I can't recall a year when there's been such few contenders, right?
Yep.
Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but like, it's the Bills, it's the Chiefs, it's the Eagles, and then there's everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Like, would you put anybody else? I mean, I liked the Bengals before the season. They're starting to come back to life, but I wouldn't put them in that class or category just yet. Is there a team that I'm sleeping on that we're not given the right proper amount of respect? The Vikings to me are frauds.
Yeah, they've had incredible luck because, quarterbacks they faced injuries, things like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I suppose Dallas with a healthy Dak could make a run because of that defense, but
Sure.
I still have my hesitations. San Francisco, when they get healthy, I think has a chance. I would put them in that discussion. Do I feel great about the Rams? No, but I didn't feel great about them at the end of November last year. So, I think they didn't have a win in the entire month of November. So it was a very strange, path to the Super Bowl for them last year. But you're right. I mean, I suppose Tampa Bay or Green Bay could suddenly come to life. Maybe there's another team lying in the weeds that I'm forgetting about here. Bengals are a good one you mentioned. I guess Chargers are above 500 still. So, yeah, right now, that's what it feels like. We'll see, a month from now if that changes. It very well could.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've been plotting and planning the funerals of two quarterbacks this week, one of them being tonight with Tom Brady and the Baltimore Ravens. I think this could get ugly. And then the other one being Sunday night with Aaron Rodgers being a double-digit dog for the first time in his life. I don't know. I see his comments on the Pat McAfee show. I get it. He's just answering the question. But, if you've got that many issues with your teammates and your coaches, why not settle that behind closed doors? To me, Aaron Rodgers has always got his fingers pointed out at somebody else's direction. When you're the quarterback, look at Jalen Hurts. He would never say such things. Right. Accountability has to stop and end with the quarterback. And here he is saying, these guys aren't ready. They don't know the playbook. They shouldn't be out there. But at the end of the day, as long as Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay and Tom Brady's down there in Tampa, they're going to be in the conversation. What do you think of these two quarterbacks? What do you make of the odds of how far they can go? And am I speaking the truth when I say, hey, we could see two funerals this week?
Yeah, I mean, Brady said, I'm not quitting. I can't believe we even got to the point where we talked about the possibility of Tom Brady just walking away and be like, you know what, I got these family issues, and it was just an inconceivable idea to even broach in the first place. And it's gotten to the point where Brady's have to say now, I'm not walking away. I made a commitment. I'm here. I'm finishing this thing off, whatever that means. Likely this is the end. So yeah, they lose this game, Green Bay gets throttled against the Bills. Where do you go from there, right? I mean, obviously you still have room to make it up. We talked about how the NFC field feels like it's potentially wide open in a lot of ways. You can't give up on them, but could it be the first toss of dirt onto the grave? Absolutely. And yeah, you're right about the Rodgers stuff. If you're able to go in front of your team behind closed doors and say, hey, look, here's what I've got to get better at. And also here's what we need you guys to go. I think there's enough respect for that. But, sort of dealing through the media. Again, I'm glad that Rodgers feels comfortable enough to talk to somebody in the media about this, and I hope other players can too. But at the same time, there are certain topics that don't go over well in the locker room when they're first kind of aired publicly, and it gets back to them.
Yeah, I saw Matt LaFleur come out and say yesterday, sometimes the truth hurts. I don't know. I see here too, Rodgers is now starting to do the Tom Brady regimen where he's taking the last 3 Wednesdays off. So I think word got back to Rodgers that, hey, did you know Tommy Boy doesn't practice on Wednesdays? And I think,
what?
Why am I got to practice then on Wednesday?
I should have thought of that.
I don't know. You're right though. It's been a tipsy-turvy kind of season. As I sit here and talk to you today, I know we got a preseason Super Bowl guest. Has it changed? Has it wavered? Is it the Eagles and somebody else? Who do you like so far?
So yeah, I made a rule years ago. I said I refuse to update my preseason Super Bowl prediction until one or more of my Super Bowl teams are eliminated from the postseason. That's my rule. I've stuck with it. It's funny now because they're one of the teams is completely different. I had Buffalo Bills beating San Francisco 49ers because I thought, I don't really know who the cream of the crop is in the NFC. Let's pick a team that has some quarterback stability, meaning Trey Lance was going to be the starter and they had Jimmy as the backup. Boy, that's that's a pretty good situation, I think. And then the defense as well. And then we knew they could run the football. And, Robbie Gould makes 95% of his kicks. I thought it's not a sexy pick, but that's what I felt. Now, obviously, things have changed dramatically. Lance hurt, McCaffrey in, other guys have been injured. It's not at the same team we saw in August, but I still feel relatively okay about their ability to compete. Especially, I don't think Seattle is going to last in that first spot. We know that LA is going to be a tough out at some point, but they've had 8-8 seasons too. So I could see that being the case. There does seem to be more than just a Super Bowl hangover there. So I feel okay about their ability to win the division. Beyond that, a lot of finger crossing going on.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm actually starting to become a believer in the Seahawks, Eric. I didn't think I was going to be.
Yeah.
But they're clicking on all cylinders. And I know DK Metcalf just had a big injury, but I'll tell you what, I will put them as my Cinderella team in the NFC. So there's my hot take for today.
If they get defense, man, if they get better on that side of the ball, it'll be really interesting.
Tariq Woolen, he looks like a good one.
Yep.
By the way, I see here a headline just come down to Aaron Rodgers doubles down. I'm calling things the way I see it. So he continues to take that stance. We'll see how it all unfolds. We'll see if it makes Eric Edholm's report over there at the NFL.com. What do you got cooking up for us over there?
Yeah, we got some Thursday night football tonight. I'm kind of the Thursday night guy. I've been doing, my thoughts on all those games. I've got, let's see, I'm going to be grading all the trade deadline deals, grading the trades, if you will. Started work on that now. Obviously got a little more work with the Quinn trade happening. And so next week we'll get that out and starting to get the ball finally rolling on some draft stuff too. Got to wait a little bit because we like to hold back a little at NFL.com. We don't want to just sort of force feed you early in the season and then everything's forgotten. So we'll get around to it.
We don't want to let Chad out of the cave too early, right?
Chad does need a little daylight. I think he does play golf though. I'll give him. He's been out there playing a lot of golf lately, so that's good.
All right, we'll have to check in with that guy Chad Ryder. By the way, I had to depart the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl scouting meetings this morning to come and host this show and chop it up here with you. So I know you and I will be talking a lot more NFL draft off the air, but it's always a pleasure to have you on the air, and can't wait to link up on the scouting trails during the draft season and link up for a meal or two. So always appreciate the time, Eric. We'll make sure to follow you on Twitter at Eric_Edholm, of course, NFL.com, and we'll see you soon.
All right. See you, Rick. See you, Tone.
All right. There he is. Good friend of the show. Easy E does it. Eric Edholm. Tone, get the yellow jacket suited for him. When we come back, I'm going to dive into some of Eric's comments on the trade deadline. Oh, by the way, the Eagles are back off the bye. Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts meeting with the assembled media, and Alex Kazara from Steelers Depot will join us. Preview that Keystone State matchup this Sunday. It's all brought to you by Ocean Casino Resorts. Hit the like button, and we'll be back right after this.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
The faces you know, the team you trust. The Delaware Valley's leading news program, Action News.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
We're moving. We're grooving. It's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC and the place to be. Ric Serritella, telling like it is. When it comes to your undefeated Philadelphia Eagles and the big news, Robert Quinn. That couldn't have worked out any better. I asked Eric Edholm to come on the show, who's based in Chicago. And wouldn't you know, the media guys were with us. The Chicago Bears trading Robert Quinn to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a fourth-round pick. Chicago picks up $7.1 million of the salary this year, so the Eagles are just on the hook for $700,000. They could part ways after the season. They could look to do an extension, should a Brandon Graham retire. I'll tell you what, Graham, Sweat, Reddick, Quinn, it's on and popping, baby, in Philadelphia. And I told you now, they've turned their attention to Alvin Kamara and trying to pry away an electric playmaker that, quite frankly, will put this Eagles offense over the top. And listen, our good friend over at SI.com, Albert Breer, told us that Howie Roseman was in the Christian McCaffrey sweepstakes. So he was actively pursuing a deal for Christian McCaffrey, looking to upgrade the backfield. He was in those conversations, as were the LA Rams. So Howie's desire to upgrade the running back position is there. I don't know if he's involved with Kareem Hunt conversations, but Alvin Kamara, and it looks like the chat room's a little bit split, but here's what I like about it. I like that it could limit Jalen Hurts' touches in short yardage and goal line situations. Even though Kamara is not necessarily that guy, he can be. And we need to alleviate Hurts of the goal line duties. Jordan Howard, who's not here, had 10 rushing touchdowns a year ago. Jalen Hurts has picked up that role 100%. And, we've got to get him away. He's averaging 17 hits a game. I say it all the time. Do the math. Over 20 games, it's almost 400 hits. Injury will be inevitable. Kamara, I believe, not only helps you preserve Jalen Hurts' health, it also extends the durability and the productivity of Miles Sanders, who, oh, by the way, isn't the most exactly durable running back in the National Football League. To me, Alvin Kamara is an upgrade. To me, Alvin Kamara is a luxury piece. And because he is the exception to the rule, I would be willing to give the Eagles' first-round pick in exchange for Alvin Kamara, because essentially they'll be picking probably somewhere between 28 and 32, which is like a second-round pick. Good question, Adams Exploits. Is Jordan Howard an option? I think that ship has sailed. Is he in shape? Probably not. I don't think he was in a training camp. I don't think he's been on a roster. I don't think he's even on a practice squad. And at this point, quite frankly, I don't think he's much of an upgrade over Trey Sermon. Tevin Coleman, probably the better option because he was on a roster. He is in game shape. He has been playing up until the last couple of weeks with the 49ers, and he's been involved too. So, I think Tevin Coleman is a fallback option if the Eagles view him as an upgrade over Trey Sermon. I don't think Jordan Howard's that guy. And in terms of Kamara and the legal situation hanging over his head, that won't be addressed until next season. It's not going to be heard. I haven't heard anything. I've been told that will be a next season issue. So sometimes you got to roll the dice. Sometimes opportunities like this don't come around, guys, maybe for the rest of our lives. To be undefeated mid-season and add 2 all-pro caliber players on each side of the ball, Robert Quinn and Alvin Kamara, we might not ever see that again for the rest of our lives. True story. Ocam's Razor says, you can have Bijan Robinson, the number 1 rated running back with the 32nd pick. Why am I thinking about next year? I'm all in on this year. I want Alvin Kamara now. Not now, like right now. And if you bring in Kamara, Miles Sanders walks after the year. No big deal. All good. Get it while it's hot. Get it. Get it while Hurts is making $2 million a year and not $42 million a year. Makes sense to me. By the way, Jalen did meet with the media yesterday. And it's funny because I actually caught. By the way, I got to take a quick second. I think we slayed D'Antonio. Finally. He's not here today. And I'm thankful for it, quite frankly. Because this guy has got unreal stamina. That Dontario, listen to this. So, as you guys know, Dontario's a Cowboys fan. He sits here and rankles all your feathers all day long in the chat room. Not only that, but I popped on to the sports take at the 2 o'clock hour, the 3 o'clock hour. It was the end of the show. And there's D'Antonio still going at it. Still going at it. The guy just doesn't get tired of talking trash. Wait. Later on in the day, I get a notification on my phone. And I think it's dinner time. Jalen Hurts is speaking to the media. And so I pop on, I catch the tail end of the Hurts interview, and wouldn't you know it, I peep into the chat room comments. There's D'Antonio again. He's still talking all that trash, man. And I think somebody stole his lunch money, Sean. Thank God he's not here today. But here he is all day long. I said, man, is this guy a bot? You got nothing else better to do with your life than try to rankle the Eagles fans' feathers? But, man, he's got some kind of stamina, that D'Antonio. He's on my show. He's on Sports Take for 3 hours. He's at the Eagles press conferences. Man, the Eagles are living rent-free in D'Antonio's head, that's for sure. He was in the Pat McAfee show, too, talking trash. This guy, God bless him. God bless him. So I turn on the Jalen Hurts presser, and didn't you know, I love these one-liners. I turn it on. The first thing I hear out of his mouth, the only direction for us to travel is rise. There's only one direction for us to go, and that's to rise. He stopped short. I know Tone is thankful. He stopped short of saying, let's ride. I haven't heard Jalen Hurts give us a let's ride just yet. It could be coming. But Hurts met with the media. And they asked him about Robert Quinn. He was excited about having another great player on this team. Said the locker room and the veterans, just like every other player, are going to welcome him with open arms. And in terms of the bye week evaluation, he did receive all the analytic notes, all the coaching presentations. I don't think he was in on the coaching meetings, but he got all the notes. He did meet with Jonathan Gannon, he mentioned, and they went counterpoint, so to speak. And he picked Gannon's brain and said, hey, how would you try to stop me? Well, how would you game plan for our offense? And he said he got tremendous feedback there. And, Eddie Kratz, Cafe Kratz, asked him, like, since he is the son of a coach, he loves football so much, was it hard to try to take a bye week off? He said, my piece is in football, and my eagerness is to be the best. And yeah, it's tough to get away from the game, but my piece is in football. My piece is on the Football Playbook, talking football with you guys 2 hours a day. And I'll tell you, 2 hours of power just fly by. Hit the like button while you're here, by the way. Can we get triple digits for your boy for Robert Quinn Day? Can you give me 100 likes? That's all I'm asking. Not a lot. He was asked about the Phillies because I guess, he's from H-Town. He's from that whole Houston area. So he grew up an Astros fan. He said, hey, he was seen wearing an Astros hat, which I give him credit for, not being a Fugazi fraud. RIC's Fraudulent 5 debuting next week, by the way. So he said, hey, listen, in terms of the Phillies, he said, I'm a Philadelphia fan now. I grew up an Astros fan, and he's Houston born and raised. He loves both cities. And he left it at that. Kudos. He did say he's been watching the Phillies and taking notes, though, on what a legendary moment in time this is. And he has taken notes on Bryce Harper, all these great moments, and the way that the Phillies are captivating the city of Philadelphia. By the way, I got in on a little money line action with the Phillies. Why not? I'm a believer. Phillies in 7. Mark me down. And, just continuing to master his technique, hone the fundamentals. A lot of, the same that we've heard. So they asked him about the Steelers, said they're a good team. They got a good defense. He honed in on Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was his teammate at Alabama, and said Minkah Fitzpatrick is so versatile. And we see he's got 3 interceptions, 5 pass deflections, gets his hands on a lot of footballs. He said Minkah would be the guy that would stay after practice with him and run extra routes if he asked him to. Like, that's how versatile and how much Minkah Fitzpatrick loves the game of football. And I'd put Minkah up there probably as a top 5 safety in the NFL. So the Steelers do have that going for him. And Terrell Edmonds does not have anything nearly the kind of hands as Minkah Fitzpatrick, but he is a solid safety as well. Maybe a little bit more in the box, could come up, make some tackles, and play a little physical. So the safety tandem, while the corners are not great on the Steelers defense, the safety duo is pretty solid. Cam Hayward up front, you got to account for Larry Ogunjobi on the defensive line. And then Devin Bush, has been playing good football coming out of Michigan. He's now 2 years removed from that ACL alongside Miles Jack in the middle. I've always been a fan of Miles Jack, another versatile, athletic, physical, gritty kind of defender. So the Steelers, listen, TJ Watt is a big loss. It's a different dynamic. It's a different defense than when Watt's in there. Alex Highsmith leads the league in sacks, but again, half of those came in week 1 when Watt was still there. Take TJ Watt away, Alex Highsmith is not your ferocious pass rush repertoire. He's a product of a high motor, high energy, big time effort, relentless in pursuit. And you'll notice like a lot of his sacks just are a byproduct of no quit in his motor. And so he stays on the quarterback and he'll be chasing Jalen Hurts on Sunday. But to me, I think Hurts is going to have all the time in the world to dink and to dunk. Hopefully they test downfield. We see a big play. I'm going to call it like this. Devonta Smith, it's his time to shine. I do think Cam Sutton will be on A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith will have his way, whether it's Akello Weatherspoon or Levy Wallace. I think Devonta Smith is going to have his way. You know, Minka probably slides down and draws the Dallas Goedert assignment. I think Quez Watkins is going to have a big day. I think Devonta Smith is going to have a big day. That's my prediction for the Steelers. By the way, Alex Kozera coming up in about 10, 15 minutes or so from Steelers Depot. So the one thing Hurts did go out of his way to draw a lot of praise for Coach Mike Tomlin. And that respect seems very mutual. Jalen Hurts and Mike Tomlin, that is. And so he said, I got a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin, a lot of respect for that Steelers defense. And I did see Mike Tomlin met with the media as well. And his love for Jalen was mutual. Said this guy's a smart football player, knows where to go with the ball. And he's a big reason why the Eagles are undefeated. And he mentioned the turnover differential. Like the Eagles just don't turn the ball over. 2 turnovers in 6 games. That's an unheard of efficiency rate. Don't expect that the rest of the way out. And it's pretty damn good when you think about how many times Jalen Hurts has to make a critical decision on every single play. Plus 12 in the turnover differential, number 1 in the league. That defense is creating turnovers, 14 of them. The offense isn't giving it up. Only 2 turnovers all season. That is unheard of ball security, unheard of turnover efficiency. And plus 12 is really, you're averaging plus 2 turnover differential in a game. Hard to lose when you're plus 2 every single game. Hey, Tone, Ocam's Razor has some news in the chat room. Can you confirm that? So just to wrap up what Tomlin was saying, hey, secondary shows elite ball skills. He was talking about Darius Slay, James Bradbury, even Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Secondary has elite ball skills. And then the defensive front, this was before Robert Quinn, the defensive front through the roof. So Mike Tomlin, a lot of praise for your Philadelphia Eagles. Double-digit underdogs, by the way. Okay, it looks like that's confirmed. They waived Teron Jackson. Was that done yesterday? I did not see that. So a corresponding move, a trickle-down effect, shall we call it. Teron Jackson waived for Robert Quinn to make room on the 53-man roster. If he clears waivers, yeah, I would imagine that he would want to stay in Philadelphia pending, there could be a team that offers a 53-man roster spot in which, he's going to have to take that pay hike increase if somebody takes him on. Dare I say the Steelers? They could use another defensive end in Pittsburgh. So we'll see what happens with Teron Jackson. Corresponding move for the acquisition of Robert Quinn. In other Eagles news, I also did see yesterday Tyree Jackson. They did open up his 21-day practice window. So Tyree Jackson, who's on the mend or coming off, he had that ACL, he had the bone fracture in the back. But, before the injury, Tyree Jackson was being talked about as the potential second tight end on the roster. So the good news is Jack Stoll, I'd say, has been a pleasant surprise. Grant Calcaterra isn't hurting us in any way. So there's no rush here to get Tyree Jackson back into the fold. In fact, they will, I would imagine, have to make another corresponding move if they wish to activate him onto the 53-man roster. Somebody else is going to have to go. And I don't know. At this point, you can't send Jack Stoll or Grant Calcaterra down to the practice squad because somebody will absolutely sign one of those guys away from you. And I don't see you being able to keep 4 tight ends on the active roster. So I think the next 21 days, Tyree Jackson's going to have to show and prove that he's healthy enough and talented enough to make an impact and justify his worth on the 53-man roster. Maybe he stays on the practice squad. I just don't see a room on the roster for Tyree Jackson, not right now. So his 21-day window has opened up. Teron Jackson, thank you, chat room, for keeping me informed, and Tone for verifying that, has been released. And it's Robert Quinn Day today here on this October 27th, 2022. Our 43rd episode here on JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, by the way. If you're just tuning in midway through the show here, please like the button, hit the like button while you're here. We had Eric Edholm to react to the Robert Quinn news, talk about the NFL trade deadline. He said he'll keep you posted, and he'll review every trade up on NFL.com as they unfold. We're also going to have Alex Kuzera in just a few minutes. But the big news to me, you get a guy who had 18.5 sacks, 3-time Pro Bowler, and Chicago's picking up $7.1 million of the salary this year. So the Eagles are only on the hook for $700,000. It's a no-brainer. For our 4th round pick, it's a no-brainer. And, I think Brandon Graham, if I'm not mistaken, is only like in the 50 to 60 percentile in terms of snap count. Josh Sweat, same deal. Like, they're somewhere around 58 to 62% of the snap count. And I would imagine Robert Quinn, who Eric Edholm told you was playing like 70, 75% of the snaps, he's only going to be asked to play 50% of the time, which is great. It's a win for everybody. It's a win for everybody. And I'm getting a text, people in New Orleans hitting me up, media, saying that the Kamara rumors are true. People are telling me the Kamara rumors are true. So I got a lot of phone calls requests here. People want to find out our sources, but Alvin Kamara could be next. Catching that plane ticket to Philly. Show enough in the chat room. You think one can learn from the other. Fletch is a starter. That's why he's here. We drafted Jordan Davis. Can they learn from each other? Absolutely. Remember, Fletcher Cox, his rookie season, only played 49% of the snap count his rookie year. If you can get Jordan Davis up to that point, That's where we want to have him heading into the playoffs. But yeah, Fletcher Cox, Howie Roseman said when we selected Jordan Davis, the most excited person was Fletcher Cox. So yeah, absolutely they're learning. And Brandon Graham has taken him under his wing as well. And he noticed early on in the season, like Jordan Davis was struggling with stamina and conditioning. And so Brandon Graham has made it a point to take him after practice and work on his conditioning every day. And it really hasn't been a talent thing. It's been a conditioning thing with Jordan Davis. You know what? It would be great to pop on a New Orleans guy today, Adams Exploits. That's a good call. But we only got 30 minutes left in the show, and we've got Alex Kazera coming up in about 5 minutes or so. But guess what? My connections run deep in New Orleans. So I'll try to do that for you tomorrow if I can. Hey, Sean S., you don't like the Alvin Kamara salary over the next 3 years? Well, think about this. Here's the alternative. You can sign Miles Sanders in the offseason, who's going to be an upcoming free agent, and his contract demands are going to mirror that of what Alvin Kamara signed for a few years ago. Matteo S. says it goes against the grain character-wise. Really? Last time I checked, it's the National Football League. It's not the choir boy chorus over here. I don't know. He was in on the Christian McCaffrey negotiations. Alvin Kamara, a very similar player stylistically, who can run, can catch, can block, a triple threat, takes away some of these goal line and short yardage carries from Jalen Hurts, preserves Miles Sanders. Pretty good combination, if you ask me. I'm cool with keeping Gainwell and Boston Scott on the back burner if it means Alvin Kamara is injected into the mix. A lot of moving and shaking going on in Philadelphia here on this Thursday, October 27th. It's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC and a place to be. Ric Serritella telling it like it is. Like Aaron Rodgers. I just call it like I see it, man. We've got another 30 minutes to go in the show. Time is whizzing by. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, my favorite Steelers website, SteelersDepot.com. Alex Kazera does a great job covering Pittsburgh and the NFL draft. He's going to join us here on the show after a quick commercial break. It's all brought to you by Ocean Casino Resorts, your home for Eagles pre- and post-game at the Gallery. Let's pay some bills. Hit the like button, and we'll be back right after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Over the last 17 years, we've built a reputation of growing award-winning teams across the country. Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Back at it again. It's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC, and the place to be, Ric Serritella, telling it like it is. When it comes to your undefeated, red-hot Philadelphia Eagles, who just added Robert Quinn before the trade deadline. Rumors and negotiations could be going on right now as we speak between Howie Roseman, the New Orleans Saints. Going to make some phone calls. Saints media hitting me up like crazy here during the commercial breaks. We'll find out what's moving and shaking, but we do have this Keystone State matchup this Sunday. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 2-5, coming into Philadelphia, where they haven't won since 1965. And here to talk about it is our good friend Alex Kozera, who works for SteelersDepot.com. In my estimation, the best Steelers website on the planet, man. You guys have been at this for quite some time, Alex. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that.
How long have you been doing that website?
I've been there almost a decade. The site was founded in 2008, and we've certainly grown a lot. And this year's been a unique year to cover this team, but it's still been a fun one overall.
It is a unique year. We're going to get into it. And you guys also do a great job for all the draft nicks out there. Come draft season, you guys are covered all over it. And that's why Steelers Depot is one of my favorite sites. It's been fun to watch you guys grow as the NFL Draft Bible has grown. And we wanted to pop you on here and talk about the Steelers matchup because, as you mentioned, Mike Tomlin's not used to losing. He has never had a record under 500. It looks like that season's trending in that direction. It's funny because their 2 wins, they did beat Tom Brady and Joe Burrow, but the TJ Watt injury there early on in the season was kind of a deflating moment. I don't think they've been able to find their way since then. What have you noticed, and what can we expect to see out here on Sunday? Give us a synopsis.
Yeah, just an overall viewpoint of how this team is 2-5. It's multiple reasons offensively, lack of any semblance of a consistent running game. They're one of the least efficient rushing offenses in football. The lack of the big play. They're the only team in football not to have a 20-plus yard run. They only have one 40-plus yard pass play this year, which came on a broken play against Tampa Bay to the rookie tight end Connor Hayward. And so when your offense that isn't efficient, struggles to stay on schedule, below average on third down, and you're not hitting the big play downfield, it's really tough to score. They're averaging 15.4 points per game. It's on pace to be their worst average scoring season since 1970, which was Terry Bradshaw's first year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, his rookie season. Defensively, of course, losing TJ Watt, this team has more sacks in week 1 with TJ Watt than they have in the 6 games combined without TJ Watt. Alex Highsmith doing a nice job, but overall, the consistent pressure has not been there. Had some injuries in the secondary as well. And so put that all together with the overall thought of Over the last 2 years, 2020, 2021, Pittsburgh was 15-4-1 in one possession games. That was the best record in football. This year, they're 2-3 in such games. And so they have not been able to finish out games, losing Ben a part of that. And that's why this team is 2-5.
Yeah, it's been a lot of struggles there in Pittsburgh, and we used to know them as Blitzburgh, right? They led the league in sacks the last 5 years, not so much this year. TJ Watt, as you just mentioned, a big reason why. Let's try to decipher the offense. You mentioned the lack of big plays, but I look at the weapons on this team. There are some playmakers: George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Pat Freiermuth. What is it? The play calling? Is it the offensive line? Is it the quarterback controversy? Is it a combination, or is it D? All of the above.
Yeah, it's D. It's all the above. When it's this bad, it's probably unfair to pin it on just one thing. You're right. On paper, the weapons look good, but some of those guys haven't always played to their talent. And I think, from execution and schematic standpoint, those guys haven't always been elevated to their talent. Pittsburgh's been a very much outside the numbers type offense. Not a lot of run after catch opportunities, which hurts a guy like Deontay Johnson. Not enough probably vertical shots to a guy like George Pickens, who really has made his calling with some of those one-on-one opportunities downfield. And I would say Matt Canada's offense, well, I understand you're dealing with new quarterbacks and a turnover there, starting both Trubisky and then Kenny Pickett and going back and forth at times due to injury. The offense has been extremely limited, very pared down, and I think it's as easy an offense to scout and game plan for as there probably is in football. So for a variety of reasons, again, a lack of a run game not helping things either. This offense just tries to play for third manageable, and frankly, they're not even that good at succeeding in third manageable situations.
Yeah, that's been kind of the knock that I've seen is, hey, if it's 3rd and 7, they're going to throw a 6-yard pass. If it's 3rd and 5, they're going to probably throw like a 4-yard slant. I know Chase Claypool was kind of critical with some of his comments after the last game. I've heard mixed reports from the national level in terms of whether or not he's on the trade market. You heard the Packers might be interested, but then I saw some of the Steelers writers saying this is just a media fabrication. I don't know why they would want to trade a guy like Mapletron, who's relatively young. He's big, he's athletic. He maybe has not been the most consistent, but again, I'm not watching every Steelers game. I just see the highlights. I see flashes. I see big plays. I see a big athletic wide receiver. Is there any truth to the trade rumors, or where does Chase Claypool's status stand here?
Yeah, I would put the odds of Claypool being moved as low, not zero, not impossible. And certainly if the Steelers lose to the Eagles on Sunday, they're 2-6. Their season is effectively over. Only one team in NFL history has ever started a year 2-6 and made the playoffs. And so that may motivate them to sell a bit more, but Claypool still has one more year on his rookie deal. Certainly, as you said, the measurables look good. On paper, looks good. Height, weight, speed. This team has not been able to find a fit for him schematically in this offense. Drafted to be that outside vertical Z-type receiver, never really been consistently good enough there, at least not since his rookie season in terms of stacking guys and making those big splash plays downfield. This year, moving to that big slot role to replace Juju Smith-Schuster. Big slot becomes pretty common around the NFL. Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, others, but he's not really as technical as a route runner and doesn't have that great feel to play inside. So honestly, Rick, I would be open to trading him just because I don't know where he fits, how he wins in this offense. But I do imagine his team more likely than not to hold on to him just to try to give Kenny Pickett as many weapons as possible.
All right, interesting stuff. We're talking to Alex Kozera, SteelersDepot.com. Let me ask you about Najee Harris, who I was a big fan of coming out of Alabama. Now, he's probably one of the exhibits that I'll use as to why I don't like to draft running backs in the first round. And I was stunned, quite frankly, when I was doing research for the Steelers matchup and saw that he's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry for such a big bruising running back. And again, I got to ask you, Jalen Warren looks like he's been giving some spurts of injection into the offense. So is it performance? Is it offensive line? Is it combination of both? Are we ready to peg Najee Harris with the first round bust label, or are we not there yet?
Yeah, I wouldn't be there yet in terms of the bust label. I still think Najee's a really talented guy. I don't want to let what he did as a rookie, which was impressive overall, necessarily cloud or change too quickly or too harshly my judgment of him. But certainly the results have not been there. As you mentioned, that 3.3 yards per carry, this run game has not generated big plays. His longest run of the year is 16 yards. And so when you're not getting those big explosive plays, it's hard to have a pretty healthy yards per carry number. Now, I think the offensive line run blocking has struggled. Generally speaking, they've done a decent job at the first level, but second level linebackers have been running free all season long, whether that's Levante David and Devin White against Tampa Bay, Matt Milano against Buffalo. I think the line has work to do there. I think the line has been better than expectations overall. Figured coming into the year they'd be a bottom 3 unit. They've probably been about average overall, but still not where this unit and this run game needs to be. Now, Harris had the foot injury in the summer, aggravated something in week 1. I think he's generally past that, but that certainly did not start his season off on the right foot. And frankly, in pass protection, which was one of the better things he did last year, he has really struggled in pass pro. And Jalen Warren, as you mentioned, has become this team's new third down back. So for right now, Najee Harris is not this team's every down back. He's their first and second down back. Jalen Warren has done well on third down. So I'm not giving up on Najee, but certainly both him and this run game at large have to improve.
Yeah, I mean, the offense is evolving, right? And at the quarterback position especially, they've now handed the keys to the Cadillac, so to speak, over to Kenny Pickett, the Jersey Shore gunslinger. Coach Ric Serritella had nothing but kudos and praise in his presser yesterday in terms of when he was asked of what he thought of Pickett coming out of college. He said, hey, accurate passer, intelligent, off the charts, quick decision maker, underrated with the legs, can move the chains when needed. What have you made of Kenny Pickett's performance thus far? Obviously, the turnovers have been the biggest issue, but is he providing the Steelers organization and fans with enough glimpses of hope to show that he can fill these very big shoes that have been left here from Big Ben?
I think he has in moments. I think Coach Sirianni's scouting report is really accurate overall. That was Pickett coming out of Pitt, and that's basically what he's been. I think he's had confidence. I think the moment hasn't been too big for him, which is expected for an older quarterback, 24 years old, 5-year guy in college. You know, some of these guys come out, they're underclassmen, they're redshirt sophomore, they're juniors. They're not maybe ready to meet that moment right away. Pickett, kind of a different story there. So I think, you know, again, the lack of a run game, how much has been put on his shoulders, as you said, given the keys. In the 2 games he started, you know, start to finish, he's thrown the ball 52 and 44 times. Not ideal for what you want your rookie quarterback to come out of the gate with overall. And while I think he's played better than what some of the stats show, the bottom line is this is a production results-oriented business. And I'm not ready to conclude anything on Kenny Pickett. I'm still learning. I think no one should conclude what Pickett is or isn't right now. But as you said, 2 touchdowns, 7 picks, and in the 2 full games he's played, this offense has put up 3 and 10 points against Buffalo and Miami. That's just not going to get the job done. So that's what this team has to work towards. For Pickett, I'm just watching him. Will he progress from where he started to where he ends? Is he avoiding making the same mistake twice? Those are the things I will really watch for his rookie season before I make any conclusions about what the future holds for him and for this franchise.
No, the NFL is a bottom line business. And so with that being said, I got to ask you, Alex, because you mentioned it's been an uncharacteristic season in Pittsburgh. They're not used to losing. I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to throw in the towel as long as he's mathematically in the hunt. So with that being said, we saw Trubisky kind of rally the troops off the bench due to injury a couple weeks ago. Could we possibly see Trubisky here due to bad performance? Is there a rally of the troops based on performance, or is it just like, hey, it's Pickett's job now, and we're just going to ride it till the wheels fall off?
I would say it's very doubtful to see Trubisky come in unless there's an injury to Kenny Pickett. I think the last thing Mike Tomlin wants to do is play quarterback roulette and flip-flop back and forth between each guy. That's probably not good for either of those guys and not good for the team overall. This team made the choice to go to Kenny Pickett, and that's a choice that they're going to have to stick with. Mitch Trubisky almost certainly will not be a Steeler next year. And so, again, really assuming this is a lost season and the season probably ends more or less unofficially Sunday if they lose to the Eagles, the rest of the year becomes a fact-finding mission about what you have in Kenny Pickett. And the more that you can learn, the more reps he can get. I understand the value in sitting and learning to a degree, but in the NFL, you learn by doing, by going out there, getting reps, making mistakes, and learning from them. And so Tomlin does not want to have either quarterback look over their shoulder and say, am I going to get benched because I had one bad pass or one bad game? So barring something unforeseen and dramatically poor, Kenny Pickett will be this quarterback the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I agree with that, by the way. I don't think you can replace in-game experience, right? There's nothing better than in-game experience, and I think the Steelers will be better for it in the long run. They're going to take their lumps here in the short run, and, we'll see where it all goes from here. Now, I thought Trubisky signed a 2-year deal, or was it a 1-year deal?
No, it was a 2-year deal, but it's really hard to see him going with his salary to be the backup next year. So either that's a release, a trade. I mean, he's under contract, you're right, but I just can't see a scenario in which he's comfortably backing up Kenny Pickett next year.
Okay, fair enough. Alex Kazar here, SteelersDepot.com. Make sure you check him out on Twitter. He's one of the best follows around when it comes to Pittsburgh and NFL draft, and I'm sure we'll have him back here come draft season. Let's shift gears over to the defensive side of the ball, Alex. In terms of key players at each level, I see obviously Cam Hayward, who I would put as arguably a strong candidate for Canton, in my opinion, up front. You've got Alex Smith, Highsmith, who you mentioned earlier, and I think I just call him the Energizer Bunny because this guy just has a motor that doesn't quit. And he's just going to be relentless in pursuit and continue to chase the quarterback with or without TJ Watt. He's the high motor guy. And then in the back end, Minkah Fitzpatrick is a guy who can get his hands on the football, make some turnovers, gets a lot of pass breakups there. Where is the overall strengths, though, of the defensive unit? Where are the weaknesses that the Eagles could look to exploit here?
Yeah, to start with the weaknesses, this defense has been, they've held the score down. They've done their job overall. They've certainly been the better unit of the two comparing defense to offense. But again, it's that lack of a pass rush. As you mentioned, they're Blitzburg. And really, they had been blitzing less. They had really been able to rush 4, drop 7. That's ideal with any sort of defense whenever you can rush 4 and still get to the quarterback because they had TJ Watt, because they had a really strong front overall. You eliminate Watt, and they're still just trying to rush 4 and drop 7, generally speaking. And it's, of course, not nearly as effective. They had 50-plus sacks in 5 straight seasons. They're on pace for 29 right now. And again, that's obviously due to the loss of TJ Watt, but it's still surprising to see how dramatically worse it's been. But there's that domino effect. Whenever Watt's out, now the line can slide to Cam Hayward. They can slide to Alex Highsmith, and it makes it a lot easier to take those guys out of the equation. In terms of the strengths of this defense, there are still some star talent. Cam Hayward, while has not been super effective as a pass rusher, is still one of the best interior defensive linemen in football. And his run defense, his ability to bull rush and collapse the pocket is still among the best of anyone that you'll see out there. Alex Highsmith was at one point, I think, heading into last week, leading the league with 6.5 sacks. He's a good effort guy, motor guy, as you said, with a good pass rush plan overall. They're a bit better an off-ball linebacker with Miles Jack brought over from Jacksonville. Devin Bush is playing a bit better as well, and they're getting healthier in the secondary with guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick returning. Maybe Keller Witherspoon returns. Cam Sutton should be healthier, and Terrell Edmonds, their strong safeties, had a strong year as that typical classic box safety overall. But again, they really have prided themselves on getting pressure, creating those big splash plays, and that has not happened this year.
I want to ask you about Levi Wallace because I saw here, it looks like he came back last week off of a concussion and then came back and got re-injured, I think an ankle or something. Do we know what his status is for the game? I know the corners especially are banged up. Are there any other injuries outside of TJ Watt that we should be aware of? And what are you hearing with Levi Wallace?
Yeah, Wallace had a shoulder that happened late last week, and he did not practice on Wednesday. Mike Tomlin Tuesday did not sound optimistic that Wallace would play, so we'll still have to see what the Thursday-Friday injury report outlines, but probably not on Levi Wallace. Keller Witherspoon's been out since the Browns game earlier this year. He should be back, so it'll probably be some combination of Witherspoon, Cam Sutton, James Pierre on the outside. And they got a nickel corner, Arthur Millette, who's like a small linebacker that plays in rundowns. The Eagles use quite a bit of 2 tight end sets, and so you could see Millette try to knife in on some of those situations.
Yeah, I like Millette, man. He's kind of like a little X factor on that defense there for Pittsburgh. Not really the marquee name that you think of, but comes up with a big play every now and then. So it's something to keep an eye on for Sunday. Let me ask you about special teams, Alex, because I saw TJ Watt won't be back this week. I think he'll be back after the bye, which would put him on target for the Saints game.
Right.
I also saw the Memphis wide receiver, Calvin Austin, I think we remember coming out of Memphis. He also will not be activated off the IR. Now, I heard they were talking about activating him, maybe making him the return guy. looks like he's going to be shelved on the IR for the rest of the year, which I'm assuming this Gunnar Oslewski is going to be.
Olszewski, yeah.
So what's the deal? Because he's had a couple muffs here. I know they brought him in during the offseason, and he's kind of had some big moments. He's also had some low moments. So what are we expecting from the special teams units?
Yeah, Austin, he had a setback with a foot injury suffered this summer, so unfortunate for him. He's out for the year. We'll see. It could be Olszewski, but they have another guy, Steven Sims, who had replaced Gunnar Olszewski and actually had a big 89-yard kick return in that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, had a hamstring injury, I believe, late in that game, and so he did not play against Miami. So if Sims is healthy, and I'm not quite sure if he's going to play this week, and it's still probably too early to tell, Sims should be the kick and punt returner. If not, then it'll be Gunnar Olszewski. So special teams, Presley Harvin has been middling, maybe a bit better than his rookie year, but he's still 28th in average, 16th in net. Got to be better there overall. Chris Boswell, one of the top kickers in football from 50 plus. He's been money, so that's certainly going to help out a struggling offense. The return game overall, Sims has provided that boost. And then in terms of their coverage units, have been pretty strong overall. Derek Watts, one of the top coverage guys. Watch out for wide receiver Miles Boykin to be one of the best gunners in football, a guy that I think demands vices and double teams and a lot of attention. He's a receiver. He knows how to use his hands and get off press. So the way that the gunner-jammer relationship work is kind of like a receiver getting off the line, running a route. And Boykin has been one of the top gunners in football.
You know, I lost tabs on Miles Boykin. Good one there, Alex. Yeah, he was a player coming out of college. It's good to see him carving a little niche on special teams. And Steven Sims, I will tell you, is a guy that we had out at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. And when he was healthy with the Commanders, he was a good return specialist, but they would bring him in and run some end arounds and reverses. And he's got speed when healthy. But as you know, healthy is, the big concern when it comes to Steven Sims. Man, great insight, great intel. Before I get a prediction, Alex, again, I know Steelers Depot does a great job covering the NFL draft. Where are you with your draft assessment? Do you guys wait until January to start revving that up? Have you been kind of peeking at some of the prospects in this year's draft class? And if so, who are a quarterback or two atop your board?
We're probably getting close to peaking because it's 2-5, and usually it's not focusing on that stuff at all until February. But with the way the Steelers season's going, frankly, I don't pay a lot of attention to that because I'm so just all in on the season. We do have one writer on the site, Jonathan Heitritter. You can follow him. He's kind of our draft guy in season. He does a great job overall. So frankly, I don't have a lot of insight. I just recognize it'll be a different conversation as opposed to what guy could Pittsburgh get at pick 23? Now it's a top 10 pick, maybe a top 5 pick. And that's a place Pittsburgh's not been in quite some time. So it'll be interesting to look at blue chip prospects, top guys, and be in the mix for them for once. I don't really know any names off the top, but I'm sure it'll be a different feeling. And it'll be interesting because it's a new regime. It's a new GM, new assistant GM, Omar Khan, Andy Weidel. And they got hired in May last year after free agency, after the draft. So this offseason will really be the first time they can construct the roster in their vision, and that could make some pretty big changes in Pittsburgh happen.
Yeah, Kevin Colbert did a really good job there for quite significant part of time. The Pittsburgh Steelers are also a strong history traditionally when it comes to the NFL draft of being one of the better teams. And Steelers Depot, I'll tell you, I don't check out many websites for draft coverage, but you guys always do a great job there. And tell our listening audience where to find all your great content. Alex, where they can follow you, what you have on deck coming up at Steelers Depot.
Sure. You can follow the site, SteelersDepot.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex_Kazora. For Eagles fans, because I know they don't care about the Steelers stuff too much, but every Friday, myself, Jonathan Heitritter, and Josh Carney, we do an Eagle or an opponent, in this case, Eagles scouting reports. We have an offensive, defensive scouting report. Been watching the Eagles offense quite a bit. It's a fun offense to watch. Just some of the wrinkles in there are really interesting, even with stuff like quarterback sneaks. You guys have the pusher, had a victory formation quarterback sneak a couple weeks ago. So some really cool stuff there with Jalen Hurts. That offense has been a lot of fun to watch. And frankly, I'm pretty jealous watching Pittsburgh's offense, which is as stale and boring as anything. You turn on the Eagles tape and it's a lot more exciting to observe.
Yeah, did the Eagles do a shotgun victory formation? Is that what the one you were talking about?
No, it was a quarterback sneak against either the Cowboys or Cardinals. It was 2nd and 2, and it was a victory formation, and that was just kind of the pusher. They all moved forward. I've never seen that before. I just think it was a cool wrinkle. You guys love the quarterback sneak. I think you did it on the goal line 4 times in a row in that one game. So
we call them rugby scrums here, Alex.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Shout out to Brian Baldinger for coming up with the term. I can't steal it, but it's exactly what it is. I mean, they got guys that run in motion, and they'll have somebody pushing Jalen from the back. They'll have somebody wrap him up and bear hug him and bring him over frontwards to the goal line, whatever they got to do to get the job done. I know you're always getting the job done there at Steelers Depot. Give us a score prediction. 11-point underdogs last time I checked. Steelers haven't won in Philly since 1965. What do you see as the outcome on Sunday?
Frankly, I haven't given it a lot of thought, still going through the tape. I'm going to go with Eagles. I'll go, pretty conventional there. I don't know the score for sure. I will just off the top say Philadelphia 27, Pittsburgh 14, something like that.
Okay. Well, you made our listening audience happy, and we appreciate the time, Alex. Hopefully we can pop you back on down the road when it is draft season. Would love to pick your brain a little bit more. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out, my man.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. Take care.
All right. There you go. Alex Kozera, SteelersDepot.com, does a great job. And somebody asked the ludicrous question about when is Mike Tomlin going to be on the hot seat? Get out of here. Come on, son. Take that nonsense to another show. Mike Tomlin is not going to be on the hot seat anytime soon. He's one of the 3 best coaches in football, period. So I disagree with the comment he gets a pass. The guy's had 13 consecutive winning seasons. I get it. Early on in his tenure, they were saying, oh, well, he's winning with Bill Cowher's team. Well, we're 14 years into the program, guys. It's not Bill Cowher's team anymore, okay? It's Mike Tomlin's squad, and he ain't going anywhere, so we're not going to ask that nonsense. So I've gotten some more text messages confirming Howie Roseman is in negotiations as we speak. Doesn't mean anything's imminent. Doesn't mean anything's guaranteed. Doesn't mean it's a lock, but they are talking. Howie Roseman is talking with the New Orleans Saints about Alvin Kamara. Make what you want about it. He's all in. I told you that the window is now. Jalen Hurts on his rookie deal. Build it, and the chip will come. We're just about out of time here. We'll be back at it again tomorrow for a Football Friday affair. Coach John D. Filippo will join us. I'm hoping to have Rod Woodson hop on if we can, and a couple other surprises tomorrow for the Football Friday. Of course, we'll have the NFL Pick'ems. Appreciate all the love and support in the chat room. Everybody who got down on it, make sure you smash the like button. Oceana's still home from school, 2 weeks of being sick, and she's going to get us out of here with a parting shot. Tomorrow, though, you're going back to school, and you're going to wear your Maribel costume because it's going to be school Halloween. And what do you want to tell the people out there at home? That's the Maribel costume. All right, let's get them out of here on a buckle up. Can you give them a buckle up? Bye. See you tomorrow.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit. Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.